I use ChatGPT a lot. I use it pretty much every day, like just for simple things, just to help me write. In my notes app, I'll just record what it's on my mind. And from there, I put it on ChatGPT to help me put my ramblings and thoughts into a post. Why I'm still in the free plan? Because it does what I need to. Like, I pay for so many subscriptions for everything that it's like, unless that I feel like I need it.
So I have a co-CEO for my business that has my bio, my dreams, my goals in life, plus it knows everything about my company, EasyTech. And now we brainstorm, right? It's my thought partner.
That's incredible. I think like I'm getting sold. I'm paying $20 a month.
Hello. Today I have the pleasure to introduce Karla Pamanes. Karla is an award-winning designer, branding expert, and mentor based out of San Antonio, Texas. She has designed for brands such as HGTV, Food Network, Brit & Co., in addition to several other amazing companies. Her focus is on building branding that tells a story and reflects the core value of a company. Her motto is to be the person you needed when you were younger. She created the Brand Design Academy to share the knowledge and experience that she has learned over her 15 years working with corporate brands and small businesses. Karla, welcome to the show.
Hi, Damien. Thank you so much for having
My
me.
pleasure. Thank you for coming on the show. We've known each other a little bit through the Upreneur community, and I noticed that you were using the Apple devices and Macs for your business. So, what is your current Mac setup?
I have a MacBook Pro, and I just recently bought an Air and MacBook Air, and I feel like I'm still afraid of, you know, doing the complete shift. Anyway, even though like with the what's it called, the migration, that was incredible. Like that was like how I could just migrate everything I have from my Mac to the other Mac. I was like blown away. Um, right now I'm struggling a little bit just with Dropbox, but I'll get there. But as far as my setup goes, I'm a graphic designer, so I have a bunch of graphic design apps. I learned design through Adobe, so I have the whole not the whole suite. I It's Illustrator, InDesign, and Photoshop. But then I also, when I was laid off from my first corporate job, I I learned about Affinity, and I also got their software, fell in love with it, and that's what I teach to my students because it's way more affordable and it's a great um, company. So I run both, the same like Affinity Designer, Affinity Publisher, Affinity Photo, um, and like the basic um, Mac apps like the Notes. I live that's if I would say like if I have a favorite Mac app, it's the Notes app. Like I love it. Like every thought goes there. Like shopping list goes there. Uh, Anything like that comes to my mind, it's just like an easy notebook where I store
Mhm.
everything. What else I have? Well, the browsers, of course. I run both Safari and Chrome. I don't know why, but I run both. I have Acrobat, Zoom, Asana that I use for my business, for project management. Um, and I love also having like the messages and also WhatsApp. Like I love that it's kind of like my phone, but in
Mhm.
steroids.
Yeah,
And that's pretty much it. Like,
to come back to Affinity Designer and Affinity Photos, I am not very
yeah.
familiar with those, and I wonder if it's the same for the audience. I expect some of them might be on the Adobe suite of things. So why Affinity? What do you like about Affinity compared to the other tools out there?
Oh my god, I love it. I love it so much. So when I was laid off, I had my big girl job of 10 years, my very first graphic design job in Knoxville, Tennessee. And when I was laid off, it was like, oh my God, what are we going to do with software? Because, Adobe is
Right.
expensive. And especially like when they started with the memberships. And one of my coworkers told me about Affinity. At that time, 2018, they only had Affinity Designer, which an Affinity Photo, which is kind of like Adobe Illustrator and
Mhm.
Photoshop. It's not as they don't have all the capability, well, especially photo, but I don't know. I don't do much on like photo apps. I just know the basics. Um, but they were having the beta version of Affinity Publisher, which is the equivalent of InDesign,
Mhm.
for layouts and things like that. Anyway, I learned about the software and I fell in love with it. The main thing that I love, well, besides the price, that it was just a one-time price, and that's it. Like, it comes with updates. And at the time, I think it was like $30. Maybe right now it's around 60, which is still like so cheap. And they also have like this pack that like you get a Mac license, a Windows license, and also for the iPad. So it's like a no-brainer for all three softwares. And so my favorite thing with Affinity Designer, which is the one that I use the most, is that I it has this capability to batch export like a file in all the different files that you want. So you can and like EPS, PDF, PNG, JPEGs, like so many different file formats that I know Illustrator doesn't have it, but they have like you can buy like plugins
Mhm.
to do that. Like, but this one it's included in the app. For me, that's like that was worth the $40, like to just be able to do that because like I love to design, but the part of like when it comes to creating the files and exporting them, like the technical boring part, it's like so
Mhm.
tedious, and Affinity makes it so easy. Also precision. I once made a video about it, how I was frustrated about like trying to do like a precise um, just design of a basic shape in Illustrator, and like I just felt like I was constrained. Like I just like it wouldn't go where I wanted to go, and I compared with Affinity, and it's like, oh my god, like why cannot be this smooth? Like it just the little
Mhm.
things. Like, um, I love it. Oh, I can keep talking about it. I love it so much. Like I have a free course about it. Like I gave it for free starting this year with um how things are in this country. I'm like, and with terms of education, and I was like, it's my contribution to the world. I'll I have a course of the basics of Affinity Designer, but also shapes. So Illustrator doesn't have like it only has like basic shapes, like a circle, square, and like the star shape. But like Affinity has like heart, has like plug tools, like flowers, like so many like different things, and so fun to play with it. Like I just don't know why it has fallen behind uh, Adobe with it, but I still use both because I still do work with corporations, and that's the
Mhm.
standard. So for corporate job, I use Adobe, but like for my own bit, like my own work, I use
Mhm.
Affinity.
Yeah, so I'm not a designer, so I'm really going lo-fi here. But the only the only tool I'm using and that I
Yeah.
appreciate is actually well, you will tell me which one of the three that it reminds because I'm not a designer, but I'm using Pixelmator Pro, and with Pixelmator, it's like accepting any kind of file format. So I can open Photoshop files, I can open a bunch of formats, and then it handles them. It even handles layers, and my designer, I don't remember which tool he used, probably an Adobe tool or some sort, but he had this kind of three color palette, the three color of Macpreneur, and they were there in Pixelmator Pro. I was
Hmm.
able to to tweak them and so on. It was, yeah. I,
I love that. I love when you just like I every now and then like I try to just open files in different like software that I don't know if it's gonna open, and it does, and like, oh my god, like that's pretty
Mhm.
cool.
Very good. So for this new season, I have now a new segment of the show which I call the AI segment. So, what AI systems or apps have you integrated now in your processes, in your workflow, yeah, on your Mac or on the web?
Yeah, so I use ChatGPT a lot. That it's, in my Mac and my phone everywhere. I use it pretty much every day, like just for simple things, just to help me write, just to like now I have become like so used to like help me just to reply to an
Mm-hmm.
email, like okay, like when it like it's a little complex email, I'll just give it pointers, give it like, the email chain and just help me like with the flow of it for creating content. My ideas spark when I'm walking. So I just, in my notes app, I'll just, record what it's on my mind. And from there, I put it on ChatGPT to help me put my ramblings and thoughts into a post. Um, and I use it very lightly in design work. Mostly Photoshop. It's has now some sort of like AI
Mm-hmm.
capability. My favorite. It's not great yet, but my favorite is just little things. Like expanding a photo, like
Mm-hmm.
of you know the width of a photo, and it gives you like a representation of what could be in that area. It's not it's not perfect, but like for simple things, it works. But yeah, mostly also just for fun things, like those new prompts that come in to like, make your own action figure, or like, ask ChatGPT to roast you. Like I just use it for fun as well.
Uh, you mentioned that when you were walking, you would do a voice notes or recording something in Apple Notes. Have you played with actually the voice mode of ChatGPT, the conversation mode of ChatGPT?
I haven't. I have the free version, and I'm not sure if it's included on the
Ah,
free version. Do you know if
that's
it's
a good
included?
question. I don't know. I don't. I'm paying for ChatGPT Plus, and yeah, I need to ask my daughter because she's still on the free plan and she has the app on her phone. But yeah, it's a good question. I don't know if the free version has this voice mode capability. Maybe not. Maybe not.
But I still like. I It takes me a while to just shift things like into like new technologies. I'm so used to have everything on my
Mhm.
notes app, and then move things like, have it kind of like in a rough draft. Even though like ChatGPT is so easy to
Mhm.
search as well. Uh, but I'm curious, how much do you use it, Damien, that you have the Pro?
So I want I will answer your question, but I wanted to ask you
Mm.
first. Why are you still on the free plan?
Why I'm still in the free plan? Because it's still doing it. It does what I need to. Like I pay for so many subscriptions for
Mhm.
everything that it's like, unless that I feel like I need it. But so far, it's still like,
Mhm.
because I use it mostly, to just help me write a little bit better. Like I don't think I'm a bad writer. I just ask it to,
Mhm.
like just to put ideas together. Like yeah, I think that's the beauty about like um not just ChatGPT, because I also use I have a copywriter, but like she does this beautiful job of putting my ideas together, one idea with the next one, how they put them together
Mhm.
in words. I don't have that magic. So it just helps me with that, and mostly it's just text based what I need.
Mhm.
So it just gives me like, I haven't felt like, oh, I need to get the paid version. It's so funny because I told about it. I shared it with my sister. My sister used it a lot for homework with her kids. And right away they went with the paid version because they wanted like very advanced things. Like I think like they will just like even send like put photos of the homework, and it would just help them resolve things. Um, but yeah, for me it's just words.
Mhm.
So I haven't felt the need, and this is why I'm curious about
Mhm.
like what it's that you get from the paid version that maybe I'm
Mhm.
missing out.
Yeah, so first of all, with the paid version, we have lower limits. On the plus plan, I still have limits, limits for the most, let's say, thinking models. So they have different models that are available to us. So when you have a free plan, if I remember correctly, you can't choose really the model. You have the model that they offer
Yeah.
you, right? But as a Plus user, I have a toggle at the top, and I can choose different models. Some that are actually much more powerful and more what they call reasoning models that take maybe a little bit more time to answer a prompt, but you can see their chain of thought, and you can see themselves catch themselves hallucinating from time to time. Right? It's unbelievable. So there is this. You also have search capabilities. I think you can ask ChatGPT to perform a search.
Yes,
Do you have a deep research as well? Do you have the deep research? So you have search and then deep research. Do you have that?
I have no idea.
And
Mm-mm.
so
I have no idea. I just
that may be either you have it and it's really very very limited, or it's reserved to the paid plans. So what deep research is for instance, I was interested in expanding EasyTech towards the US, Canada, and the UK, and I was not sure from a tax point of view, does it make sense, is it feasible, or is it complicated? And so I had two options or three options. I could hire somebody, a tax specialist, actually, most probably three tax specialists, one for the UK, one for Canada, and one for the US. And it would have costed me
yeah.
thousands of dollars, right? That was option number one. Option number two, I could have started going to Google and search and try to understand tax related and
Right.
try to find blog posts that were trying to explain in a simple manner what I was trying to do and string everything together. I don't know how many hours I would have spent, but instead I used deep research. I explain quite thoroughly what my business is, what I was researching, and what happened is that it made a research plan, and in total, so it devised a research plan, started going through different websites, and I think the first batch of websites was like 27 websites that it went through. From those
Wow.
27 websites, it gathered some information, but also it found other websites to visit. And so it continues, and over
Wow.
in total it visited more than 60 websites, and then it prepared for
Wow.
me like a 12 or 17 page report about the different things. And I was like, wow.
Wow. How long it would have taken you to
Yeah,
even
yeah,
do
it's
half of
it's
that,
it's
which is
hours
crazy.
and hours of time that I have saved, thousands of dollars of potential legal fees, right? And now I know I will not go
Wow.
to Canada because it's not good tax wise. I can
Mm-hmm.
no without any problem expand to the UK as long as it's B2B. And for the
Mm-hmm.
US, it gave me in a tabular format all the US states from the most attractive to the least attractive. And with
Because it changes by
yeah,
state.
yes,
Yeah,
it's
so
it's
much.
it's so complicated, the tax system in the US, that now I know that if I want to attack the US market, I will start with the Delaware state and New Hampshire, because these are the two states where B2B services are not taxed, and it's the closest to me in terms of, um, so it's only 6 hours behind me in terms of time zone. So I provide IT
Yeah.
training. So my afternoon is their morning. So I can it matches
Yeah.
well. And yeah, so deep research, only that, right? If only I had that on top, it would be for me worth the $20 per month.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, definitely. It's incredible. I wouldn't have thought that New Hampshire, would be like a tax friendly state, because New England, it's like everything's so expensive, because I live in Connecticut and they tax me just to breathe. That's what I was saying. Now I'm in Texas. I'm like, oh my God, I can stretch a dollar way better here, especially as a
Mhm.
business owner.
But the other thing that keeps me paying the $20 per month is the ability to do what is called projects and GPTs, right? So a project or a GPT from a usability standpoint, it's very similar in the sense that it is a customized version of ChatGPT that has a specific role and behaviors that you specify, plus has knowledge that you give it.
Yeah, I
And
love
so
that.
I have created very recently my co-CEO. So I have a co-CEO for my
Uh,
business
so
that
fun.
knows that knows me, that has my bio, my dreams, my goals in life, knows my family, right? It knows everything about me, plus it knows everything about my company, EasyTech, and the goals and the mission and the vision and everything. And now we brainstorm, right? It's my thought partner. And actually, so since I've been using that, so it's a little bit more than a month and a half, it has already helped me generate 1,500 euros
Oh my
in
God, David,
short-term
that's
revenue. So I've been
amazing.
brainstorming. Okay, I have what I call the 5K plan. Can this thing help me generate 5K of revenue in short to medium term? And so 1,500 already generated. I have potentially 700 plus uh, another in the pipeline, right? Plus, it has helped me figure
That's
out other
amazing.
things because I don't remember. Yeah, I had another legal question that was specific to Luxembourg, and it allowed me to answer that question without asking a lawyer again.
Yeah, those little things make it so
Yeah,
worth it.
and what is nice, so when it is what is called a GPT, on top of that, you can give it some capabilities. So it can search the web, it can generate images, but it can also what is called generate code. So it can actually create Excel files, Word documents, PowerPoint files. It has all
Oh
those
wow.
capabilities built in, and I've named it her. I call her Eve. Eve. She's called Eve. Eve, my co-CEO, because it's C and then the letter E. So the letter E for Eve. But I didn't. I didn't stop there.
Hmm.
I created a co-CMO, so the marketing officer, and it's Mark for marketing. It's Mark, my co-CMO, and I have Frank, my chief financial officer. No, sorry, I started
Oh
calling it
my.
Frank, and then I realized chief financial officer FIN, and now I call it Finn. Is Finn my my co-CFO?
Oh my God. I mean, you're telling me that how to get it, because it's like as a solopreneur, it's lonely. So it's like, having people like, somebody like, something that helps you like brainstorm and share ideas. And I've used it, like, I usually use my sister for like, like send her things like, hey, what do you think about this? And like, she's like, now ChatGPT is faster than her. She's like, okay, while I wait on my sister, I'll get feedback from ChatGPT on things. But that's amazing, having like kind of all this support in
Mhm.
your business.
Yeah,
That's
so
incredible.
I have when I went one step further, I obviously needed to. I created a GPT whose sole purpose is to help other solopreneurs create their own co-CEO, co-CMO, co-CFO. So it's a GPT, and It's a GPT that I'm sharing not in the GPT store, but I have made it public. And if you want to, I can give you the link. The thing is, even as a free ChatGPT user, you can use the GPT. You can use it. You cannot create GPTs, but you
Oh,
can
cool.
use GPTs. And so, yeah, if you're interested in this
Oh, so
concept,
fun.
you could use my.
Yes, I would love to play
And
with
it's
it.
I've called that the Co-C-suite creator or something like that. And yeah, it's capable of creating 15 roles of a board of directors, right? So on top of the financial officer, marketing officer, we have technical officer, CTO, the CIO, the information technology officer, the CISO, so the information security officer. But there is an HR.
You got all the
Yeah, exactly,
C-suite.
15 of the C-suite things. It can help you personalize, so to you and to your business.
That's incredible. I think like I'm getting sold. I'm paying $20 a month.
The thing is, you need a paid plan to implement it, right? If you want to create your co-CEO, to be able to create it as a GPT, you need a paid account. Or for the
Right.
listeners, if you are on Google Workspace, if you have a Google Workspace account, I don't know, do you have a Google Workspace? You
I
have a
do.
Google,
Yes.
a business starter or business.
Yes.
So you have that capability with Gemini. You're already paying for that.
I'll check
And
it
so
out.
if you go to gemini.google.com, you have the equivalent of ChatGPT, but from Google. But because you have a paid Google Workspace for business account, you have Gemini Advanced, and the equivalent to a GPT with Google or with Gemini, it's called a gem. And so you can you can use my GPT to create your co-CEO, and then it will give you the instruction of your co-CEO, and it will even tell you these are the few documents that you should give it as knowledge base. But then you can copy paste that from ChatGPT into a new gem. You can create your own co-CEO gem. You attach the knowledge, and you can even attach files from Google Drive directly, right? So if you have your mission
Wow.
statement, if you have some I don't know, financial goals or stuff like that in Google Drive, you can pull them from Google Drive, attach them to your gem, and now your gem will be your co-CEO, able to help you on various tasks. And it's like a GPT. You just open a new conversation with the co-CEO.
That is so impressive. I need to check it out because yeah, I do. I use Google Workspace for my business. The only one that I've been playing with it's
Mhm.
Claude, just to just for content. But if I'm already paying for it, like yeah, might as well make the best out
Mhm.
of it. See, and I don't have to pay $20 more.
And the good news as well is that Gemini has the deep research capability built in with the
Oh,
with the
cool.
Gemini Advanced. And I have compared both, right? I have the research I told you about the different states in the US. I wanted to compare ChatGPT and Gemini Deep Research. So both generated a report. And in the end, the ChatGPT report was good, but actually I much prefer the Gemini one. And what is
Oh
nice with the
wow.
deep research
Awesome.
capabilities inside Gemini is that at the top of the report, there is a button that says copy to Google Docs. So
Oh
in
my
one click, that
god.
20 something page report was a Google Doc in in my Google Drive, and I was like, yes. Whereas for ChatGPT, I
That's
was
that
able
was
to select all, copy, open Google Drive, create a new doc, paste.
That's what I do all the time. Yeah, I always have them together, ChatGPT and my Google Docs. Wow! Oh my God, Damien! I know what I'm gonna do on this weekend. I'm gonna be playing with Gemini.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
fun.
that's something I wonder how many solopreneurs who are on Google Workspace realize how much they have, right? How much AI capabilities they have just by visiting gemini.google.com. Yeah, it's really good.
I'm excited. I cannot wait to play with it.
Very good. So let's go to the next segment of the show, the haha moment. So, what tip or trick did you discover on your Mac recently that you wished you knew before?
I don't know if it was recently, but it wasn't didn't happen um, like forever. Like I eventually learned that it could do this. I use an iPhone as well all the time, and one of my favorite things is like if I copy something from my phone, I can paste it on my computer, or vice versa. I think that's mind
Mhm.
blowing. Like it just makes it so easy. Before I would just write something on my notes and wait until like it shows in my computer, but now it's like literally I can copy from one place, paste it in the other place. um yeah, it just makes it so easy. I think like it's simple, but just it's very useful. And uh, I also love the out of fill things. Like if you save your name, last name, email, like that, you don't have to type them all the time, like on forms or when you're buying something. I love that part too. Of that it just makes it easier, like with the autofill and like even the credit cards.
Mhm.
The passwords, oh my god, like yeah. Because I just cannot keep up with all those things. Just those things that save you like just a little time, just like what you mentioned about like, oh, it saves it on the Google Doc. Oh my god, it saved you like a minute, and but still it's a minute, and it makes all the
Mhm.
difference.
Yeah. Yeah, so for the listener, the trick is to have the same Apple account on all the devices, right? It's
Ah,
through the iCloud account that we have what is called the shared clipboard, or the iCloud synchronized clipboard. So if for someone they realize, okay, I copy on the iPhone and it doesn't work on the iMac or the iPad, double check the Apple account on all your devices. It should be, and there is no setting, right? There is nothing to toggle on or off. But as soon as you have the same Apple account on all your devices, you have this capability.
I'm so glad you mentioned it because I just got a new computer and it was not doing that. But then I also keep getting the message that it was not linked to the iCloud, and I just keep dismissing it. And now I know why. So I need to make sure I have the right, actually connected, and that's what it was. Because I just felt it was frustrating. I'm like, why is not working? But now I know.
Yeah, and that's, I would say, a bit annoying. From time to time they change the iCloud terms of service, and then you do the update or the upgrade of the phone, and then you have this little badge on settings and you wonder, okay, what is it? And actually they are blocking everything, right? You need to go through the thing, say yes, accept the new iCloud terms of service, and then it restores the iCloud synchronization. Yeah.
Right. I used to be really bad at updating things. I had, I still have an iMac that it's so old, but at some point it kind of stopped working, and it was all my fault because I would never make any updates. I would always dismiss the updates, and like, and then at the Mac started telling me like, because you need to update your Mac. I'm like, oh, I just and just the same thing that was happening. Like I was getting the pop up about the iCloud not being connected. I just dismiss it, and then I expect for things to work good when I'm not doing what I need to do.
Yeah. Yeah, very good. So we're almost at the end of the show. If you were in charge of the Mac division at Apple, what would be your first priority?
Oh my god, I
Uh,
don't know. I don't know, like, as to create something new or make it easier.
Yeah, so it could be with
Hmm.
the hardware, so the MacBook itself, or it could be the software or Mac OS, or are there things that you wished worked better, or are there things that you wished existed but doesn't exist at the moment on your Mac?
Hmm. I I really wish they were like indestructible. Um, but they, I mean, I had my MacBook Pro for. I always had an iMac, but when COVID hit, I went to quarantine with my parents in Mexico, and I knew I couldn't travel with my iMac. So I got the MacBook Pro, and I just eventually learned to work on a smaller screen and love to work in bed and anywhere that I could just put my MacBook. But it has lived a rough life because I can be a little clumsy, but it's still running. um, I just I don't know. I mean, just, I wish they last longer. At this point, I feel like it's time to replace it. I got it in 2018, but I got it used. It was like two
Mhm,
years old, but I never had like an issue with it until like every now and then, like it was starting to just die, and then eventually the battery will die. It's just part of
mhm.
it. Um, but I don't know. I love it as it is. Like, just give me more battery life. Can you just, don't die soon? Don't die forever. It works perfectly for what I needed. I'm really excited about the new one for the
Mhm,
camera, because I do a lot of, video chats, and I just could see like how much sharper
mhm,
it is. Um, it does, what for what I use it, it's really great. Like, I just, I can't complain.
mhm. Oui.
I don't know. I'm curious about you, Damien. What would you ask if you had a magic wand?
Well, if I had a magic wand, one thing would be, so on the laptop side of things would be, I know it would be, I know, I'm not sure how bigger it would be, but yeah, replaceable batteries, right? Replaceable batteries, we have had them for a long time. It was so easy on all the MacBooks to replace the batteries. And yeah, yeah.
Something that I like about and I know that the iMacs don't have it right now, but I have a very old one that you could add more memory. That was really cool, because I think the new ones you cannot do that. That you can open it and
Mhm,
put more memory. Because like it's a dinosaur, but still works because it has so
mhm,
much memory. Um, so that's really cool. That I don't know much about computers, but that capability to make it stronger as far
mhm,
as memory goes, I think that would be really cool.
mhm.
Just to be able to add on to it.
Yeah. And now that I think about it, on the software side, I wish they would not introduce any new feature for a year, for 12 months at least, if not 24, and just fix the bugs, fix the bugs, work on the system to make it a
Right.
little bit more stable. I'm on an iMac. It's the last iMac where I can still change the memory and put myself some memory sticks. So that's one
Mm-hmm.
thing. But I'm also still on Sonoma and not on Sequoia, because I really don't trust the latest version of the operating system. And even then, even being on Sonoma 1 year later, I know I have to reboot the Mac at least once a week. If I leave it running, it's
Mm-hmm.
an iMac, so it's I rarely turn it off. But I know that if it has been roughly, yeah, 6 7 days before I so since I rebooted it, and I have a training session to do, I will in the morning reboot the Mac to make sure that I don't have
Mm-hmm.
issues during the day, because There's something going on
Right.
in the backgrounds, I don't know what, but that makes the system unstable after something like 6 or 7 days.
Wow, that's interesting. I'm curious to see what operating system I have. But what I know for sure is I cannot update it anymore because it's so old. Like it won't
Mhm.
update anymore. But I use it. I use it mostly for as a second
Uh-huh.
monitor. Uh, Literally just to open my inbox and open Zoom whenever I'm doing a workshop or a class. Just have it in there. Um, I never could think I could survive on a smaller screen. But I figure out how to do it, and yeah,
Mhm.
it works.
Yeah, that's a good tip actually for the listeners who have an old iMac laying around. If the operating system, even though it may not be the latest one, but if it's recent enough, it can be used as a secondary monitor for a
Hmm.
MacBook. Or in my case, I on my right I have my 2014 iMac. It's turned off, but when I give a training session in the morning, I turn it on, then use it as a second screen for my main iMac. So I have two 27-inch screen for the day, and I have my notes, and I have my a voice over IP system on the right as well. So to be able to catch phone calls from students who might have issues connecting to the training session and so on. And yeah, having a secondary monitor and reusing an old Mac as a secondary monitor, it's a great tip.
Yeah, I think mine is around 2000. What do you say?
Yes.
2014 yours? Might be might be
Mhm.
2012 or 11, something like that. Um, One time at the work where I work, I won a an iPad, like a fancy iPad with, they had like cellular, like I can't remember. It was one of the most expensive ones, and I had never had any interest on an iPad. So I went to the MacBook store in Knoxville, and I said if I could just get it like store credit, and they're like, well, only if they bought it here, and they bought it there. So I was like, perfect. So I used that money to buy my big iMac, and I love it. I would still probably try to use it until then when COVID hit, and then I realized I can run everything more smoothly with a newer computer, of course. um, but yeah, like I don't know. I just love all the Mac products there, and I love how they talk to each other, like how user friendly they are. Like now, I go on my parents' Windows, and I'm like, oh my god, how do you do things? Like how can I check my email? Like I just find it so frustrating not knowing where things are.
Yeah, very good. So yeah, thank you, Carla. Where can people find you online?
Everywhere at Karla Pamanes, Karla with a K. Instagram is my happy place. Karla.Pamanes. My website is karlapamanes.com. We're not that many Karla Pamanes in the world, so it's easy to find me.
Yeah, that's good. It's like me. There are not many Damascus in the world. So
Yeah,
as long as but
it's an easy Google
as long as they
search.
can spell my name, it's okay. But for you, it should be easier.
Well, yeah, yes. Yours a little
A
bit,
little
just a
bit
little
more
bit. It's
tricky.
not that hard.
But
Yes.
yeah, very good. I will put a link in the show notes to all the things that you mentioned. And yeah, thanks again for being on the show.
Of course, Damien. It's a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
And so, if like Carla, you would like to share how you are using your Mac to run your solopreneur business, it's simple. Just visit macpreneur.com/apply. If you are already on Podmatch, just click on the button and you will land on the show profile. Otherwise, fill the application form and I will get back to you within a few days. Once again, it's macpreneur.com/apply. In the comments below, please share your main takeaway from this episode. And if not done yet, please subscribe to my channel so you will get more helpful tips on how to run your business on your Mac. And until next time, I'm Damien Schreurs, wishing you a great day.
Thank you for watching the Macpreneur podcast. If you've enjoyed the show, please leave a comment and share it with a friend right now.